I'm honored to be with you to pay tribute to Jim Beam. I have known Jim Beam virtually all of my life, and if goodness could be packaged in human form, it would look like Jim Beam. When you think of the Scout motto, the Scout law, the Scout oath, Jim Beam has embodied those principles, those characteristics, all of his life.
Be prepared.
Across the years, we've come to regard you as a close friend and a mentor. Yes, a friend, a mentor, a business partner, but most importantly, an example.
On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, and to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight.
My life has been better because I knew Jim Beam. As I've come to know Jim, I recognize three very, very important things. One is his love for the church and his willingness to serve. Second is his tremendous love for the temples, and he had a tremendous role and responsibility to make sure that we had a temple here in the Portland area. And thirdly, I've always known President Beam to love the Boy Scouts of America. In every way and every day, he lives the Scout oath, the Scout law, and the motto. He loves scouting, he loves young men, he's raised a wonderful family, and they all emulate the principles that he so valiantly serves.
Do a good turn daily.
My husband and I have walked side by side on our journey of life together. There's no one that knows better than I the character and the content of his heart. I know he loves his family. He has a dedication and a love and devotion for God. I know of his integrity. He believes that when a Scout honors and obeys the Scout law and the Scout oath, these young men will be prepared to be leaders in the nation, in a church, and in his family.
A Scout is trustworthy.
I think my dad is a great example of someone who is trustworthy. When you think of the many years of service he gave within the LDS Church and all the individuals who came to him as a spiritual leader when he served as a bishop and stake president, they put onto his shoulders many of their burdens and the struggles that they were going through with their life. Who else would they have entrusted that sensitive information with? I think his entire life is actually a great example of someone who is trustworthy.
A Scout is loyal.
Another great quality of my father's is that of being loyal. Loyal to his own personal beliefs, his job, and his family. When I was in high school, an occasion arose that I needed my father to escort me. Despite time and money, and because they had 10 children, both were in short supply, my father left an important business meeting in Seattle, flew to Oregon City just long enough to escort me out onto the football field, and then returned to Seattle. I have never had any doubt that my father loved me, or that he would do anything for me.
A Scout is helpful. When I was about 11 or 12 years old, we had a very large garden. Dad asked me if I would go up to the garden and weed the garden. When he came home from work that day, he saw that the garden wasn't weeded, and he asked me why I hadn't weeded it. I said, "Well, Dad, I have a problem. See, I can't tell the difference between the weeds and the vegetables that are growing." He thought for a minute, and he says, "Yes, you do have a problem. Tomorrow I want you to go up to the garden, and I want you to pull everything. Whatever grows back was a weed." Dad was very helpful.
A Scout is friendly. My grandpa's friendly.
Around 100 BC, a Roman lawyer, Marcus Tullius Cicero, said, "The rule of friendship means there should be mutual sympathy between them, each supplying what the other lacks and trying to benefit the other, always using friendly and sincere words." My father first practiced this with my mother, and then he practices it on a daily basis with those he meets. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "To the poet, to the philosopher, to the saint, All things are friendly and sacred, all events profitable, all days holy, all men divine. This is how my father lives his life. He is a scout and he is friendly.
The definition of courteous is having or showing good manners or being polite. My dad has shown me this, to be courteous, by his example when he opens up the door every time for his spouse. He loves his wife and will be courteous to her by opening the door. As a result, all of his children now open the door for their spouses.
My dad is kind to me.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Dad.
How are you, Michael?
Fine.
Did you know I love you?
Yeah.
Who is my boy?
Harvey.
Mike Bean?
Yeah.
How old are you?
8.
8, that's 7. Let's hear you say 7. Very good. Oh, not that there, that's right. That many. Whoops. Keep trying. There you go. You got something like that. It's one of those. It keeps changing, doesn't it? Okay. Goodbye.
A scout is obedient.
From a very young age, my dad has had an obedient spirit. He recognizes that when he follows the laws of God and the laws of the land, he will be blessed and protected. He makes it look easy to choose right. My dad's consistently obedient nature is an example to us all.
A scout is cheerful.
With my dad, a chuckle was never far beneath the surface. Whether he was getting ready to tell you a joke, working, or just playing with the kids, Dad had a great sense of humor and was always cheerful.
Hello, Dad.
Hello, Dad. She's waiting for me to tell her another joke. Kathy, did I tell you about the boy?
No, thank you.
My big heart to Maud Twain, dismember me for Harold's choir.
Scout is brave, like my grandpa.
Jim Bean, my father, is brave. Whether it is the battle in the courtroom, the boardroom, or the hospital room, he will fight fearlessly for what he believes is right. He has lived his life according to his deeply held principles, which were instilled in him in his youth, and will boldly fight for whatever threatens these values.
A scout is reverent.
A scout is reverent. Reverence is a feeling or attitude of deep respect tinged with awe. Reverence is veneration. Normally, when I think of a reverent person, I think of someone who honors and respects things of a sacred nature. I think of a person who can control his or her thoughts, words, and actions. The top entries in a thesaurus for the word reverence are adore, admire. A reverent person will adore and admire that what is holy and dear.
It became obvious that he is a wonderful father and husband. He and Helen have been married for 52 years, and with their 11 children and 47 grandchildren, to demonstrate to the community and to the church his significant commitment to family. He's also been a major part of the church's development here in the Portland area. In addition to serving in the Oregon-Portland Mission Presidency 3 times, one of the more important things he's done, in my view, is to head up the committee that resulted in the Portland Temple being put in place here, that is blessing the lives of many, many members and the community here in the greater Portland area.
All of the Scout values lead any of us to do is to be of service to other people. And whether in his profession, in his community service, in his public life, in his church, and especially with his family, Jim Bean has been a servant, and he has been doing good to others, doing a good deed daily for many, all of his life. So I congratulate the Cascade Pacific Council for awarding this recognition to Jim Bean.
James H. Bean is a righteous and a good man. And all said and done, the Lord will say, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant."